Hey y'all, welcome back to Movement Link. So we're talking about the air squat, and I just want to help you identify what it looks like when people have tight hips in the air squat. So ankles and hips are usually the two biggest thing, and upper back and all these other things definitely play a role. But the hips' ability to flex plays a huge role in people's ability to get down in the air squat. And again, how low should we be going? We're trying to get you as low as you can most of the time, as low as you can through a full range of motion with good technique. So here's what happens, and here's what it looks like when people start running into their hip. As they start squatting, going down fine, and then what happens is their hip gets tight here, and then that's where you start seeing the only way around that hip is to start rounding that lower back. So that's where you start seeing kind of that pooping dog looking thing. This might have to be the screenshot for this video here. This is just nasty position. Anyway, we run into the hip, and because of that, our lower back now has to start moving, and our pelvis starts working under us this way as we continue to keep trying to push further and further. It's the same thing we see here if we just do a simple hip hinge. Okay, this is where right now I'm running out of hamstring and hip, and for me to go lower, I can get lower by tying into my back. So this is a big thing that happens, and just because we're having that hip reversal doesn't necessarily mean it's a hip problem. It could also be a bracing problem, but let's talk about that bracing problem. We have another video on this, but a big part of this is what happens to people is as they start squatting, we lose this tightness, so we get overextended here. But what that overextended anterior pelvic tilt position does is it changes the angle of the hip, so it makes me more likely to run out of hip range of motion. One of our favorite things to do with people is just show people this. We demo this with them on the ground. I should have checked to make sure the camera can still see me, so we'll see what happens here. But what we have them do is we have them overextend. So this would be mimicking the mistake a lot of people make at the start of the squat. And with that overextended position, we lift that leg up. So you're just going to kind of have to take my word on it. But for me, in that overextended position, I start running into my hip. All of that tilt puts extra strain. I'm using the wrong muscles, extra strain. That's about the end range. But if I come back down here and I get nice and tight, get that pelvis in a good position, and now come back up, now it's drastically different. So I get more range of motion. So really, it doesn't matter if we're running into the hip because we're overextended, or we're running into the hip because we don't have that full range of motion of the hip. What it looks like if we're having an issue with the hip is as we squat down, we run into it, and then we start to see that hip reversal. So video yourself, have someone look at you, have them let you know what you're looking like. Hope this helps. Talk to y'all soon.